So when you try to do things that normal people do, that's like a normal person trying to do something at 10 times that amount. So we just need to give your body time to adjust to that different level. And you can't just focus on getting all the way there. We have to do it in baby steps. But this is where the journey of recovery can actually become very fulfilling, very rewarding. Because if you set smaller goals, you can start to feel the progress pretty clearly, pretty definitively. How's it going, Thriver? Miguel here from CFS Recovery. In this video, we're going to be talking about how change takes time and how progress may not happen instantly. There is actually a build-up period, a adaptation phase when your body is trying to make some progress. This was very, very difficult for me to wrap my head around when I was in the depths of trying to get better. Because I remember I wanted to do anything and everything I could to feel just a little bit better. And I was researching so many solutions, researching so many things that I could potentially do that could make me even 10% better. And I remember in the beginning, you're looking for this one thing that's going to fix it all. And this is when I was still a little bit more functional. I remember I was working as a personal trainer at the time, and I started feeling really sick all the time. After my first crash, where I ended up in the hospital from way too many symptoms, from so many symptoms to the point where I thought I was having a stroke and a heart attack, and I just felt like I was going to die. I went to the emergency room, and that's really what kicked off this CFS recovery journey for me, where, life was never the same for the next 4.5 years. And after a few days taken off work, I went back to work and I was thinking, okay, I gotta find what's causing this. There's gotta be something. Maybe I just gotta fix the diet, right? If I just fix the diet, that should fix this, right? It's not that big of a deal. So I tried fixing the diet. Didn't work. I got rid of all the supplements expecting, okay, that's what's causing this. Let me not take any more supplements, no more energy drinks, no more coffees, no more pre-workout. Let's do that. That should fix this. And initially, I had a lot of confidence that whatever I changed, that was going to be the thing that fixes this whole thing. But of course, I slowly began to realize that this wasn't going to be as simple of a fix as I thought. Now, as I started to see more doctors and specialists, they weren't really finding anything, but they were saying, you could try this, you could try that, you could try sleeping earlier, you could try eating healthier food. You know what? We don't know what's going on. We'll send you to a psychiatrist. And at the time, I said, no, I'm not seeing a psychiatrist. I'm not crazy. I'm feeling actual symptoms in my body. And so I talked to a bunch of people. I found a naturopath that said she could help. And so she said, you know what? You have stage 3, borderline stage 4 adrenal fatigue. Your adrenals are crashed right now. And she said, what's going to fix this is taking hydrocortisone. So I thought, yes, finally somebody has an answer to this. Took the hydrocortisone, really expecting it to work, and I crashed 10 times harder. It's like trying to jumpstart a car that's going haywire, right? The last thing it needs is more energy and more adrenaline. So that didn't work. Then I started seeing specialists, started seeing other naturopaths who said, hey, we got to do a detox. That should work. Didn't work, made me worse. Hey, we got to fix your thyroid. Didn't work, made me worse. But we got to get you on this, take adaptogens, take IVs. So all of these things, I was expecting it to work. But as time went on, I had less and less hope that these things would work. You go from supplement or this treatment just gets me 5% better. I'm okay with that, but it better work instantly because you are just so desperate to get out of those trenches, to get out of that hole. And you start to become very impatient, extremely impatient, because you've been patient this whole time. So it's kind of interesting to say, because even though you've been very patient throughout this entire period of trying different things, you've been patient with the doctors, been patient with the treatments, you've tried so many different things, you're impatient for the individual things that you're trying, right? Now, when it comes to the things, for example, that we teach on this channel, things like neuroplasticity, things like recalibrating your nervous system through neuroplasticity and through brain retraining exercises, through tweaking your activity levels and tweaking and changing the way that you respond to symptoms, you might be expecting it to work right away, to work very, very quickly. What you have to understand is once you start implementing these principles, Whether it's responding well to symptoms, doing the brain retraining for chronic pain, slowing down your activities just so your nervous system can stabilize, there is an adaptation period. And physical capacity progress, the things you'll actually notice day to day, those are lagging indicators of progress. So what you want to do is focus on the actions that are going to lead to the results, right? Because if you just focus on trying to feel better, just trying to have more energy and less symptoms, if you just focus on those things, you're going to end up being frustrated because it takes time for your nervous system to adapt to new levels of activity. It's kind of like when you first walk into a room and you smell the flowers. After about 10 minutes, you don't smell it anymore because your body gets used to it. Similar to trying to recover from chronic fatigue syndrome, long COVID, fibromyalgia, when you're trying to recover from these things, your body just isn't used to a normal level of stimulus. It's not used to just walking outside, driving down the street, going to the grocery stores, going to a busy restaurant that's really noisy and loud and has a lot of movement. It's not used to those things. All of those activities to a hypersensitive nervous system is very, very uncomfortable and very, very threatening to that nervous system. So if you imagine your capacity is down here, your tolerance for stimulation is down here when you're dealing with these illnesses, the CFS, long COVID, with a hypersensitive nervous system issue, it has a very extreme reaction. So your capacity, your tolerance for stimulus might be down here. If it's down here and let's say a normal person's level of stimulus that they can handle is up here, it's going to take time to build up to that. So when you try to do things that normal people do, that's like a normal person trying to do something at 10 times that amount, if that makes sense. So we just need to give your body time to adjust to that different level. And you can't just focus on getting all the way there. We have to do it in baby steps, right? But this is where the journey of recovery can actually become very fulfilling, very rewarding, because if you set smaller goals, you can start to feel the progress pretty clearly, pretty definitively. And here's a trick that I did. I never measured my progress by how much I could walk, how much I could talk, how much screen time I could do, because the body changes every day. It changes every week, every month. It can look completely different today than how it looked last week. So if you're measuring progress on such a short time scale, you're not really getting an accurate glimpse of your trajectory. I typically zoomed out to look at how I was doing month to month or every couple months. But I was just so focused on trying to enjoy the present moment, trying to make progress in the present moment. More specifically, I was focused on just responding to symptom, which was the action that was going to get me the results of progress. When I focused on that, time went by very quickly, or at least much quicker than it did before when I was just waiting to feel better, because I realized that there are active things I could do within my recovery that would move the needle forward, that would help me take another step forward. Like I said in some previous videos, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and that is very much the case for recovering from CFS and long COVID. As you take these steps in your recovery, as you respond well to symptoms over and over and over again throughout the day. And little side tangent here, what does responding well to symptoms look like? Well, that looks like whenever you're having doubt, whenever you're having some fears, or you start having intrusive thoughts about recovery, anything negative that puts you in some kind of survival state or some fear mode where you feel like this is a threat, you just have to remind yourself, hey, this is just the hypersensitive nervous system. And when you can bring logic into this picture, it helps you become less emotional about the symptoms and the whole situation overall. And as we know, according to science, if you can look at these articles right here, it's been proven that increased amygdala activity leads to increased symptoms. And that's essentially what we're trying to do here. We're trying to reduce the amygdala activity by reducing emotions. The only way we can reduce emotions is to bring in more logic into the picture. Little side tangent. And if you want to learn more about that, you can watch my video about what brain retraining is. You can watch that right up here. I break that down in depth, basically the science of what we're trying to do here when we're responding well to symptoms. But overall, change does take time. Recovery is not going to happen overnight. Don't expect it to happen overnight. And in fact, I'm actually grateful it didn't happen overnight, because going through the process of recovery, learning how to be patient, learning how to control my mind, control my emotions, and really respond well to the symptoms, that has helped me build a life that I never thought possible. It literally helped me build my dream life. All the things that I wanted to do when I was sick, all the things that I wrote down, I'm able to do them now. And now I have confidence that I'm not going to crash. I'm not going to relapse, because not only have I recovered, have I built myself up to this place, to the point where I'm anti-fragile, now I have confidence because I know exactly what I did to recover. It wasn't luck. It wasn't just time. It wasn't just crossing my fingers hoping it got better. I know exactly what I did deliberately in order to get my life back. And so when you know what to do in order to recover, you also know what not to do. So you know what signs to look out for. You know what things to avoid that are going to lead down that path where you could get sick again. Now, I've tried stress testing my body. In fact, I stress tested my body up here in this video where I ran a part of a marathon in Hawaii on just a few hours of sleep with zero training whatsoever. And my body was completely fine. So although it feels very slow sometimes, progress feels like it's taken forever, just know that change does take time. It takes some time for your body to adapt to those new levels of stimulus. But the great news is once you start gaining that traction, recovery can happen faster and faster until your results become exponential and you won't be having to put as much effort towards the end of your recovery as you did in the beginning. Just like getting a rocket into space, it takes so much more energy just to get that rocket off the ground. Or a plane, it takes so much energy for that plane to get off the runway, but once it's on the runway, cruise control takes over. Just like in recovery, it's a lot slower in the beginning. It's much more difficult in the beginning because you're putting in so much effort, not seeing that many game-changing results, perhaps. You might see game-changing results, but as you move along this process, you're only going to see better and better results with less and less effort. So stick through it in the beginning. Don't be discouraged if it feels a little bit slow starting out. Everybody's been through that phase, but if you stick through it, if you follow the principles of recovery, if you watch a lot of the videos on this channel and start implementing it, you should start to see massive change over time. And next thing, you're going to be living a life of thriving health. And this whole CFS long COVID situation you're in right now, it's just going to feel like a bad dream. So if you did need some extra help with this, if you wanted someone to guide you along this path, and you wanted a team behind you to walk through all these different stages of recovery and perhaps speed things up a little bit, so that way you can avoid making the mistakes that a lot of people make, you can click the link down below, learn more about our recovery system, and perhaps this could be the missing link in your recovery journey so far. But if you are doing great, if you're making lots of progress and you don't need any extra help, you can absolutely do this all on your own. You can just watch the YouTube videos on this channel. But of course, if you did need some extra help, you wanted some extra guidance, that's what we're here for. So if you're interested in that, click the link down below. You can apply to see if this recovery system works for you. But always remember that you are a thriver and you are just one mind shift away from living a life with thriving health. I'll see you in the next video.
I'd say that CFS recovery is absolutely the real deal.
I actually felt like somebody had an answer, like somebody explained what was going on, and it all clicked.